Lorena Escalera Ferrer was born in Puerto Rico on October 14, 1986. At the age of 18, she moved to New York City in pursuit of bigger dreams. Lorena had been working as a makeup artist in Puerto Rico, but wanted to come to New York City to broaden her career as a performer and model. Once arriving, Lorena joined the renowned performance house, the House of Xtravaganza, which was featured in the popular 1990 documentary, Paris is Burning. She began walking balls and competing for prizes as an extravaganza and even toured in Spain. Lorena was their main act. At 21, she had gender-affirming surgery. Dropping her dead name, she chose Lorena, a nod to the sister she deeply loved. Friends stated that she was beautiful inside and out, like someone you would see in a music video. If you met her, you would never know the amount of discrimination she faced, as she was always humble, exuding positive energy. To her friends, she was a superstar. Around 2:20 a.m. on May 12th, Lorena returned to her third-floor apartment located on 47 Furman Avenue while her two roommates were asleep. By 4 a.m., residents of the apartment building woke up to the building engulfed in thick smoke and flames. All residents were able to escape safely, but Lorena's two roommates could not find her. By 4:37 a.m., 60 firefighters had put out the blaze. They then began searching for the cause of the fire and found a partial answer in apartment number 3. Through the gutted remains of the apartment, they uncovered the body of 25-year-old Lorena in her bedroom. Lorena's apartment was set ablaze in what authorities later determined to be an arson intended to cover up a homicide. Her death sent shockwaves through the community, as this was not the first time the House of Xtravaganza would face such a tragedy. Born in 1965, Venus Xtravaganza was a transgender woman and ballroom performer who starred in Paris is Burning.
Touch this skin, darling. Touch this skin, honey. Touch all of this skin. Okay? You just can't take.
She was known for her beauty, charisma, and ambition, dreaming of a future where she could live openly as a woman without fear. In Paris is Burning, she candidly discussed her experiences as a transgender woman, including the discrimination and dangers she faced.
With finances and nice things and nice clothes, and they don't have to have that as a problem. I don't feel that there's anything mannish about me, except maybe what I might have between me down there, which is my little personal thing. So I guess that's why I want my sex change, to make myself complete. I was about...
Venus was tragically murdered in 1988 at age 23. Her body was found in a hotel room, and to this day, her murder remains unsolved. Still, she remains an icon in ballroom culture and LGBT history, symbolizing both the struggles and the resilience of the trans community. In 2023, the home where she lived with her grandmother and filmed her interviews for Paris is Burning was voted to become a historic landmark in Jersey City, New Jersey. 3 days after Lorena's murder, the House of Xtravaganza, who at the time were celebrating their 30th anniversary, wore buttons with her image as they released 25 white balloons in her honor at the AIDS Walk in New York. Investigators found evidence that suggested she had been strangled to death before the fire was started. Despite extensive efforts, the case remained cold for years, leaving the LGBTQ+ community and her loved ones desperate for answers. Media coverage during this time was harsh. The New York Times faced backlash for its reporting, which was criticized as being highly insensitive to both the victim and the trans community. The article began with, "She was 25 and curvaceous, and she often drew admiring glances in the gritty Brooklyn neighborhood where she was known to invite men for visits to her apartment, her neighbors, and the authorities said." Other lines included, "For a man, he was gorgeous, and she was always on her laptop posting ads about herself. Still, she was a nice person." At the time, Janet Mock responded, stating, "As my city's and our nation's paper of record, I would expect the New York Times to treat any subject, regardless of their path in life, with dignity. In Lorena Escalera's life, she was so much more than the demeaning, sexist portrait they painted of girls like us. It goes beyond a choice of words. According to the Times' limiting, harmful portrait of Lorena, She was nothing more than a curvaceous bombshell for men to gawk at. That is not the personal story of any woman. And until we treat trans women like human beings, in life and death, with dignity, families and struggles, our society will never see us beyond pariahs in our communities. Laverne Cox also released a statement saying, "Reporting on trash in articles about the deaths of transgender women enrages me in ways I can't even explain. When I wanted to kill myself, I felt so utterly dehumanized and demoralized by living in a world that was not having me. I have struggled and continue to struggle to not only have dignity and to carve out a place in the world for myself, but to treat myself as if my life matters. My life matters. Transgender lives matter. Lorena Escalera's life mattered." When it came to identifying persons of interest, NYPD investigators had several leads. On May 13, 2012, they conducted their only interview with one of Lorena's roommates. Investigators showed him a clip from the building's security footage, hoping he could identify an unknown man seen entering and leaving the building on the day of the fire. However, whatever information was provided didn't lead to a breakthrough, and the case seemingly stalled. Authorities remained silent until December 2012, when they publicly disclosed the identity of a person of interest. Taylor Murphy had a romantic relationship with Lorena before she ended things in 2011. In August of that year, he was arrested and charged with felony strangulation after assaulting another transgender woman he was dating. The following is from a 2012 New York Post article covering the case. The beefy former Mr. March is on the hook for allegedly beating, biting, and choking his previous girlfriend, blonde pre-op transsexual Claudia Cherries, during an August 2011 fight in their Midtown hotel room bed. The peroxide blonde Cherries and the newly brunette Batista, both of whom have active online male escort sites, have contended for the affections of Murphy, a bisexual attracted to men who live as women. Cherries told jurors that Murphy flew into a rage when she called him a Defense lawyer Jason Berlin countered that Cherries exaggerated what had been a mere love tussle of jealousy. "I'm done. Call your girl," Cherries texted Murphy after the alleged assault. "Go to your trees and you were never my boyfriend. I hate that I ever loved you. You think you're playing me, but you're not. I know you're with your girl." Murphy's girlfriend at the time of the trial, Wanda Batista, stated he was her kin in reference to Murphy and Cherries. "She doesn't like it because I took her kin. I'm the Barbie now." Murphy was known for his reputation as a ladies' man, later boasting to the press about his many open relationships with trans women. During the assault trial, his defense attorneys relied on the familiar tactic of victim blaming, while the media continually misgendered Cherries and referred to her as a stripper. The jury, composed of 9 women and 3 men, acquitted Murphy on the most serious charge of assault, but found him guilty of violating an order of protection after he contacted Cherries over 1,000 times through calls, emails, and texts following the assault allegations. "I'm obsessive compulsive," Murphy told the Post about the excessive phone calls. "I'm in therapy for it." He was also convicted of misdemeanor criminal mischief for breaking Cherries' phone. Following the trial, Murphy was dismissed from his position with the FDNY before embarking on a media tour to discuss the trial and other topics.
You met a woman named Claudia. How did you meet?
We met on the street.
Okay, just walking along the street. How'd that happen?
Just bumped in her.
You don't even like to use her name.
I don't say her name.
You call her the devil.
I don't call her the devil. She worships the devil, and they say in that world, I don't know much about it, you speak things into existence and you give it power. So yeah. I don't say the name and I don't give it power.
Okay. And how did you meet? Who walked up to who?
She bumped into me and recognized me from, I think it was the Today Show.
She started talking to you?
Yeah, I stopped and I started engaging in conversation.
And you started dating. How long did you date?
We only dated for that summer.
How was the relationship at first? She described it as a summer romance in the city.
I wouldn't describe it that.
How would you describe it?
It's just, there's a lot of feelings and stuff like that involved, but she had a boyfriend in LA. So I'll just describe it as pretty intense dating.
What occupation was she? Was she a model?
That's what she said.
Right.
She was on a show called Janice Dickinson's Show, but she later told the press and everybody that she was an America's Next Top Model. If you Google her name, she was never a contestant. She actually got disqualified.
Had she had the sexual reassignment surgery?
No.
So she was pre-op. She was pre-operative. Yeah. Did you have a sexual relationship with her?
I did.
Were you outed so far as dating transgender women?
100%.
So this wasn't something that you discussed or wanted to share your personal, intimate life. You were outed.
100%.
And who did that?
Person that I don't say their name.
Okay, it was her.
Yeah.
Okay, so the media, the newspapers, they went wild with the headlines and the puns.
Yes, sir.
Was that a shock to you? Were you surprised that it went?
The fact is that the society doesn't really accept trans, and that's wrong. And all those puns and media and all that stuff, it's a disrespect to their community. It's a disrespect to me. There's people losing their lives for things like this.
They were making jokes about it in the headlines, right? You'd never handle a hose again and that sort of thing.
I wish somebody would say that to my face, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 6'6", 275. Never heard that to my face.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
When did you begin dating transgender women?
22. I was a virgin until 21. It was like the next year when I was 22. I dated a trans.
And have you dated any other person since then? Or has it always been transgender women since then?
No, I date plenty of women. It's like, I just see it like, instead of calling white girls white and black girls black, I just see trans as another color. They want to be treated as a woman. They feel like a woman. I respect them as a woman. You have to respect that. You have to respect people for how they feel.
In February 2025, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced a significant development in Lorena's case. Henry Pacheco, a 44-year-old Brooklyn man who was already serving a 20-year-to-life sentence for the 2017 murder of his ex-girlfriend, was charged with Lorena's murder.
Already convicted murderer now facing new charges in the cold case murder of a trans performer. News 12's Nadia Galindo is in downtown Brooklyn, where that man just appeared in court. Nadia, so already a conviction on the books for this suspect?
That's right, Noel. Henry Pacheco pleaded not guilty to the charges against him here in court today. And this was a case that investigators initially saw as a suspicious death in a fire that now appears to have been an attempt to cover up a murder. Now, before the court hearing today, Pacheco was walked out of the 84th precinct in handcuffs. And he's charged with murder and 2 counts of arson. Now, we learned that the 44-year-old is tied to the murder of 25-year-old Lorena Escalera. Now, FDNY responded to a fire at her apartment on Furman Avenue. Their investigation found that Escalera was dead before the fire started and that the fire originated in her bed. Investigators say surveillance video shows Pacheco entering the apartment and leaving as the fire started. And they also say they have cell phone records that tie Pacheco to this case. Now, the Brooklyn DA's office says Escalera, whose stage name was Lorena Xtravaganza, had moved to Brooklyn to pursue her dreams of becoming a performer. Pacheco is already serving a 20-year-to-life sentence for an unrelated homicide in 2017. And prosecutors said his rap sheet also includes possession of controlled substance, attempted burglaries, and 4 prior violent felony convictions. Pacheco will remain in custody.
A review of Lorena's phone records showed multiple calls around the time of her death. Some of those calls were answered after she had already died, including one call from a person who only knew Henry, not Lorena. Lorena's murder and the decade-long delay in solving her case underscore the vulnerabilities faced by transgender individuals, particularly those of color. The LGBTQ+ community has long criticized the lack of urgency and resources dedicated to investigating crimes against transgender people. Her murder serves as a grim reminder of the discrimination and violence that many transgender individuals continue to endure. However, the eventual arrest and prosecution of Pacheco offer a sense of closure to Lorena's family, friends, and the ballroom community. It also signals a shift in law enforcement's approach toward solving crimes against marginalized communities. District Attorney Gonzalez reaffirmed this commitment by stating, "The quest for justice lasted over a decade, but today we are able to charge her alleged killer, who we will now seek to hold fully responsible for this killing and the arson that put many other lives at risk." The tragic murder of Lorena was a devastating loss for her loved ones and the LGBTQ+ community. Her case serves as both a cautionary tale and a beacon of hope. illustrating the systemic issues in addressing violence against transgender individuals while also showcasing the power of persistence in the fight for justice. As the legal proceedings against Henry Pacheco unfold, many hope that this case will set a precedent for how law enforcement handles crimes against transgender people, ensuring that no other individual's life is taken without accountability. Miss Escalera came to Brooklyn to pursue her dreams of becoming a performer, but her life was brutally snuffed out instead when she was only 25, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez said in a statement about the arrest. The quest for justice lasted over a decade, but today we are able to charge her alleged killer, who will now seek to hold fully responsible for this killing and the arson that put many other lives at risk. Hate crimes against transgender New Yorkers rose more than 140% between 2018 and 2023, increasing from 10 cases to 24. Overall, hate crimes have been on the rise across New York State, with incidents increasing by 12.7% in 2023 alone. After the announcement, the House of Xtravaganza released a statement reflecting on the impact of her absence. Lorena Xtravaganza was taken from us 13 years ago, and the pain of her loss remains deeply felt. Her family and friends have held on to hope for justice for many years, and today, with the apprehension of her murderer, we can finally begin to find closure. Though the journey has been long, we are grateful to everyone who helped keep her memory and spirit alive. She was a powerful force within the House of Xtravaganza, leaving an indelible impact that will be felt forever. Her light continues to shine through all who were touched by her life.